Well, hello there, fellow geeks and geekettes, and welcome to another video. So, for those of you who are saying that the comic book industry, and by this I mean the modern American comic book industry, is thriving, I've got some bad news. Now, I always say look at the numbers and the facts, and you don't even have to look into depth to realize that the modern comic book industry is dead. People don't read modern American comic books, people don't enjoy them. What people do enjoy, which is connected with the modern American comic books, is the scandals and the cancel culture that is all around the internet. Now, what sells, actually, in America, now I'm not talking about the rest of the world, because this is another question. What sells in the United States of America is manga, the Japanese comic books that have been becoming more and more popular all around the world, not only in Japan. But first, let me talk about very briefly the comic book issues, the single comic book floppies, as they are called. The comic book publishers, they are saying that they sold, for instance, 100,000 copies of, let's say, Spider-Man last whatever month. You have to take into consideration the fact that those comic book floppies are sold to retailers, to comic book shops. And those comic book shops only then need to sell them to customers. And if they don't sell them to customers, they are stuck with them because the comic books are non-returnable. So they end up in boxes of back issues. Now, there is also something called variant covers, because very often the comic book publishers, they cash in on variant covers of individual comic book issues. But if you are a store, it is very common that in order for you to get one variant cover of a comic book, one single item, you need to order from 25 to 100 and even more regular comic books. So these numbers can be misleading. Now, as far as the graphic novels or the collected editions go, that are also sold in bookshops and bookstores and malls, look at the top 10 selling adult graphic novels of 2020. Now, I will read it out, and then we will get a bit closer into it. So, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse is the first one. My Hero Academia Volume 1, Strange Planet, My Hero Academia Volume 2, Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba Volume 1, My Hero Academia Volume 24, My Hero Academia Volume 3, Stranger Planet, My Hero Academia Volume 23, and Uzumaki by Junji Ito. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of 10 is manga titles. And the rest, they are not even close to being titles published by one of the top 2 or top 3, let's say, DC Comics, Marvel Comics, and Image. So why is manga so popular? Why is it more popular than the American comic books these days? Because so far, manga, and especially the manga that, has been made or written and drawn so far, has not been focused mainly on inclusion and representation, on SJW, diversity, feminist agenda. And it has been focusing on the content, on quality drawing and quality writing. Now, manga is very, very much art-based. You can read a volume of manga in a couple of minutes. Now, you've got a lot of writers, American comic book writers and British comic book writers who like to write a lot. Long scripts, long comic book scripts, which are very often more prominent and dominant than the art itself. So, this is for one, it's easier for many people to read. It's easier for younger people, for children, for young adults, for teenagers to read, because they find it quite understandably easier to flip through or burn through a manga when it's mostly art-based. And secondly, when you focus on quality more than on inclusion and representation, it is obvious that people will like it more. If you put good story and good art in the background and only write a comic book to push some sort of leftist agenda or SJW agenda or feminist agenda, any sort of agenda, if you sacrifice good writing and good art, it never ends up well. It never sells as well, because what people care about in the end is the story and the art in comic books. Be it American comic books, British comic books, European comic books, or Japanese comic books. So that is why American comic books, they already had their prime. They already went through their golden age. Now it's the downfall, and it is quite understandable. People, things come and go, and comic book industry has found itself in a very bad position, not because of some sort of epidemic situation in the world, but for these very reasons that I've just mentioned. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below what you think about that, if you agree with my opinion or if your opinion differs in any way. I will be only glad to engage in an intelligent and educated discussion, and because YouTube is not very fond of creative and free speech oriented YouTubers such as I am, and is always messing up with the algorithm, please do not forget to like this video if you liked it, or dislike this video if you did not like it, and subscribe to this unimportant channel of an unimportant geek talking about unimportant things. And that will be really all, my friends. See you soon, keep reading good stuff, and bye.